Hello, I'm Chef Charles Draghi, chef and owner of Erbaluce restaurant right in Bay Village in the heart of Boston, historic little area. And I run an Italian restaurant, contemporary Italian, doing a lot of classic dishes. And today it doesn't get more classic than this. A beautiful frittata made with egg whites and lots of spring greens, a little spring onion, and some herbs. So really light flavors that are just wonderful, really made to bring out all the flavors of the greens and the herbs. We're going to start off with the egg whites. And we're going to take the egg whites and just put in a little bit of sea salt, just lightly seasoned there. And we're also going to put a little bit of white pepper. I like white pepper because it's more floral and aromatic than the black pepper in a situation like this. So a little bit of white pepper. Okay. And then with the egg whites, I also like to put a little bit of Parmesan, some freshly grated Parmesan Reggiano. This is the 2-year aged Parmesan, which has a deeper, nuttier flavor to balance against the lighter, brighter other flavors. So I'm going to take and just sort of whisk those together a little bit. And you just want to whisk it with a fork so you get a little bit of aeration. See a little bit of bubbles in there. And then I'm going to hit it with just a touch of nutmeg, which I love. Nutmeg is just, it's beautiful. It really brightens the flavor of everything. It's got a sort of a smoky citrus quality that's really wonderful in this. Just a little touch there. I'm going to just whisk that. And then we're going to let this sit for a moment. Let the cheese soften up a little bit. And meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up a pan with some good extra virgin olive oil. I'm not going to get it real hot. I don't want it to get up to a smoke point, but a fair amount of olive oil. This is light with lots of greens and herbs and egg whites, as I said, so a little extra olive oil is good because olive oil is very healthy and you can have a little bit of that extra fat in there. Now, when you heat up the olive oil, what I find is very helpful is to put a little bit of, and I like a little bit of heat, just a little bit of crushed red pepper right into the oil. And that'll bring some of that flavor out. So when you toss everything, it's uniform all the way through. And then garlic clove. This is a classic Italian way of doing it. You put a garlic clove right in the olive oil and you let it heat up. You're using it almost like a bay leaf because you're going to remove it. So it's not ground garlic that's in there that'll either be burnt and bitter or a little bit too raw and have that stinging mustardy kind of attack. It's just going to perfume the olive oil with a really nice aroma. There's a light sizzle going on to this. It goes about a minute in the olive oil, and then going to just turn it, and it'll have a very light golden brown on the outside. So you're just getting the aroma and the flavor out of the garlic. It doesn't need to be fully cooked. You can, if you want, fully cook it, slice it, and then add it back to the frittata if you want even more garlic flavor. So you can see just a little bit on the edge, starting to turn a little bit golden brown, starting to soften up a little bit. And the perfume is unbelievable. It's just a beautiful, floral, spicy, smoky kind of aroma. So I'm going to remove that because now it's got the oils nicely perfumed. It has the spice. Take it out. Before the crushed pepper starts to, it will burn up a little bit in there. So I'm going to remove this. And to cool the pan down, I throw in the greens. This is a mixture, and this is lots of sizzle. Classic Italian mixture of sweet and bitter greens. So what you have is lettuces, spinach, escarole on the sweet side, some mustard greens, arugula on the peppery side, and then a little bitter greens, a little chicory or Swiss chard, which it's a beet green, has a nice earthiness to it, and then chopped herbs. I love the lighter herbs of mint, parsley, sort of the holy trinity in Italian cooking of mint, parsley, celery leaves. You can add in a little bit of lovage if you can find some in the garden or with a local farmer. Just going to toss this briefly here. Basil is delicious in this. You just want to go for a moment here. So it's some of the harder stems of the greens are starting to wilt a little. And then I'm going to throw in a little bit of spring onion. These are early spring onions, and I put a little bit of leeks in there too. That's going to give it a little extra flavor, along with the garlic, a nice sort of light oniony flavor. I don't like the onions to cook too much. I just like them to steam so they turn bright green, so you still get a nice pepperiness. If you cook them fully, they're delicious, but they turn really sweet. And I want this to be more of like going in the garden, just picking everything, cutting it, and just eating it, crunch, crunch, right out of the garden. I love that. Now, I'm going to turn this heat way down low. At this point, we're going to take the egg whites, which now the Parmesan is softened up in a little bit and has a little light seasoning. And then you put the egg whites kind of all around that. And then we're going to just move the egg whites around the pan and quickly lid it on a very low heat. That's going to take maybe 3 minutes, 5 at the outside, depending. You can make it larger. Frittata with a lot more egg whites will cook a little bit more, but you want it to still be moist, slightly creamy in the center with the egg whites just set. So we'll let that go for about 3 minutes and come right back to it. So fantastic option to have with the frittata is an egg yolk sauce. This is a classic egg yolk sauce I really love. Very, very simple. Couldn't be more simple. Just some organic egg yolks. Of course, always organics. So put those into a bowl. And then a good dose of Parmesan, the 2-year-aged Parmesan Reggiano. Put that in there. Lots of Parmesan. As I was a kid growing up, everything was better with Parmesan. That was Italian. Everything needed Parmesan and lots of it. And then a little bit of lemon juice in there for flavor and to bring it together. A little bit of sea salt. The sea salt I use, by the way, also has some of the dried herbs that we use in the restaurant. We powder those up and mix it in, so it has even more of that reinforcement of the herb flavor. And then a little bit of white pepper. And a little more white pepper. And a little more. My family's from northern Italy. We love pepper too. Pepper and Parmesan, everything. So we're just going to whisk this together. Very simple. On a warm frittata, you just make a really nice sauce with the egg yolks and the Parmesan. This, if you want to, can be cooked over a double boiler, whisked with a little bit of chicken stock added to make like a zabayon sauce. But on a warm frittata, this makes a really nice, light, sort of custardy accompaniment. So it gives you a little rich flavor, but still eats very, very light. So here we are back. We have the frittata. It's just set. It's fully rested. We have the sauce. All we have to do is put it on a plate and enjoy it. So look at the frittata, and you'll be able to see here how the egg whites are set around. The center is still a little bit soft and has a nice creaminess to it. So we're going to put that on a plate. Let's you can tell also when it's done, this is another trick, because once the egg whites are set enough, it actually removes from the pan pretty easily. So when you have the egg yolks cooked into a frittata, that's the part that usually sticks. We can see how it kind of shakes in the pan, almost like a crepe. Actually, there's some cultures where they make crepes just from egg whites. You see how nice and beautiful. It's almost like an herbal pizza. You can cut this and serve it that way to a family. You can use it for hors d'oeuvres at parties, just little wedges. This is great for a couple of people to share as a light summer main course, or you can serve it to a few people as a first course. So the Parmesan, the eggs here, it's a nice sort of drizzle on top with that peppery sauce. Now the reason I do the sauce as an option is that sometimes when someone wants to cook an egg white omelet, it's because they don't want the heaviness of yolks. So you can do it either way, it's just fine. It works out equally as well. It's nice to garnish, maybe a little bit more Parmesan. And then lemon zest. From the juice, you save the lemon zest, which gives there's a little bit of bite to it, and you get that lemon oil. So it's a little sweet, bitter lightness. See how just beautiful this is. And then I like a representation of some of the herbs that are chopped in there, maybe a couple of little. This is some herbs from my garden, some mint, some anise hyssop, put a little lovage in there, basil, all the herbs that you use if you save a little bit. And then if you really want to do a showstopper, I love these, some violets on there, just absolutely gorgeous.
And
it would be great served with, if you make a little May wine, just a little Riesling with violets in it. It's just a perfect accompaniment. So here we have a gorgeous egg white frittata with beautiful bitter and sweet greens and onions and herbs, and nice and light with the eggs. Absolutely delicious. Buon appetito.